What is up, everybody? My name is Justin. This is Forever Self-Employed. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to start a concrete ceiling business step by step. I had to bring in an expert on the matter. Aaron's here with me. Aaron, how's it going, man?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to have you on again, man. How long have you been sealing for, Aaron, or offering it as a service in your business?
I've been offering sealing for probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Excellent, excellent. So for anybody who doesn't know what concrete sealing is, we're going to get into that here in just a second. Sealing is one of those kind of niche services that is not very highly marketed whatsoever. So that's why it's so good with things like my Facebook ad strategy, Aaron's web content strategy. If you guys haven't checked out the local domination course, be sure to check it out. I'll leave it first link in the comment section in the description. In there, you guys are going to get everything you need to know in order to start your business and scale it from 0 to 7K a month. Including all the marketing, including my updated Facebook ad strategy, web content strategies, and much, much more. So be sure to check that out if you guys haven't already. But Aaron, just break it down for us, man. What is concrete sealing and why is it necessary?
So concrete sealing is basically it's one of those precautionary type services that a customer is going to take to protect their either pavers or their aggregate or their brushed concrete from freeze and thaw. And basically, what happens when concrete freezes and it's wet is it expands because ice expands, right? Water expands when it freezes, and that creates cracks. So a lot of times a customer is going to pay for this service. It's going to be a big one-time upfront fee. You probably do it every couple years or so, depending on the type of sealant that you use, in order to protect that concrete from those cracks that would happen from freeze and thaw.
Okay, excellent. And before we get into like all the logistics on like license, insurance, equipment, the whole deal, is this an add-on service or can it be sold as, a main service as well?
Sure. I mean, there's definitely companies who do it as a main service. Probably the biggest area in the country that I'm aware of who offers it as like a main service would be in Florida. A lot of paver sealing happens in Florida. I mean, guys are making thousands and thousands of dollars. And where I'm at in Tennessee, pavers aren't super popular or common. So I probably have done one paver sealing job, and you don't see pavers a lot up here. So it would be an add-on service to some of our guys, but where the demand is usually in those southern coastal type states who have a lot of pavers and stuff like that. You can make it a standalone service.
And is paver sealing, is it the same use as what you would seal a driveway? Like, is it that same expanding and cracking?
Not as much. Paver sealing is more of sealing this sand. They have a sand that they brush between the pavers, and then they want to seal that sand, and they're going to wash it down. And that sand likes to harden. It's a special sand that they're going to have that they're going to brush between those pavers. And when they do that, they're going to water it down, and that stuff's going to harden. And then you want to put a sealant on top of it, kind of just to keep everything, when it pertains to pavers, just to keep everything from shifting around. So that's what the sealant is going to do when it comes to paver sealing.
Okay, and then with regards to both, like, will the tips that you're going to give today specifically work for driveways, or can it be applied, similarly to pavers as well?
I've done mostly driveways in my tenure, if you will. So I'm probably going to be giving more on that side of things. Paver sealing is kind of an art. If you want to learn paver sealing, there's guys out there who teach that. It's something that's a very high ticket service. It's much different than the driveway sealing with brushed concrete or aggregate sealing where you're rolling it on. It's a much different service. So it's much more involved. You have a lot of sand that you have going on that you're getting delivered and that you're brushing in these cracks and the right type of sealants to use. So today we're going to be mainly talking about the aggregate type of sealing with exposed aggregate driveways or concrete and brushed concrete sealing.
Okay, I'm glad you split the difference between those two because Aaron, like, explain this a little bit before we get into the specifics. You like add-on services that are easy, that are quick, that have a high profit margin. So can you kind of speak to why driveways fulfills that for you?
Yeah, driveway sealing is a high ticket service. When it pertains to aggregate sealing, it's not an easy It's brainless, but it's work. All right. So rolling on aggregate sealant, which is usually a solvent based sealant that you're going to put on this aggregate concrete. The reason you're going to use a solvent based sealant is because aggregate has rocks on top of it, and a water based will not soak in to a rock. It will soak into concrete, but with exposed aggregate, there's so many rocks on top, you need to use a solvent-based sealant that'll sit on top and penetrate just a little bit to where you can really get the best sealant. A lot of times those are those driveways you see that are really shiny. They have really a nice sheen onto them. That type of work's not going to be easy. It's going to be laborious. You got to come back the next day or on a dry day. You can't pressure wash that driveway and then directly seal after you pressure wash with a solvent base, because oil and water doesn't mix. So it has to be a few days down the line where you're going to come back and you got all your sealant and you got your rollers out and you got everything, and you're going to wait for a dry day and you're going to do it. When it pertains to water-based sealing, though, it's very easy. It's easily done, right? You can do brushed concrete this way, and it's one of those things where you can do it the same day. So it is an easy upsell, which is, my favorite stuff. It's like, how can I get high ticket for the easiest job possible, which should be everyone's mindset, right? And so you can bring your water-based sealant on site, pressure wash the driveway, let it dry, let the big puddles get away. It can still be damp, and you can still put a water-based sealant on top of that, block the driveway off, and you're done, man. You made a stack of money.
And that's what it's all about, baby, at the end of the day.
You're dang right.
Okay, excellent. I wanted to give a little bit of an intro into this, just for anybody who is uncertain about, what concrete sealing was or why it could be beneficial for the homeowner. So now let's kind of get into the, meat and potatoes, if you will. Licensing and insurance. I like to talk about this, with any business that people are starting. Can you umbrella this with the LLC? Can you use the same pressure washing insurance?
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's so many pressure washing companies out there. It's one of those tie-in services. So you're just going to have to ask your insurance company to add that on. Licensing is very similar. I mean, if you've got a pressure washing license, you don't need any special license to seal concrete. I mean, a homeowner can do it themselves. So it's one of those things that you just tie into that.
Okay, beautiful. So that's super simple. If you already have an existing LLC, already have insurance, you're good to go. As far as the equipment that we need, Aaron, just brushes or rollers.
Yeah, so I like to use a 3/4 inch nap if I'm doing an aggregate driveway sealant. They sell cheaper versions of aggregate driveway sealant at Home Depot. Eagle brand is what they sell. I don't recommend it because it does like to yellow a little bit over time, which customers don't like. But what you're going to do is you're going to go there and get that sealant. I think it's about 5 gallons for every 500 square feet. So it's 100 square feet per gallon of coverage. And then you're going to get a 3/4 inch nap. You need the 3/4 inch nap roller. Do not try to use a 1/2 inch nap or a 1/4 inch nap. It's just not absorbent enough. You need that nap roller to be so thick, and Home Depot probably doesn't have these. So usually it's a sealant company. They may where you are, but where I'm at, they don't have them. A sealant company nearby here has a 3/4 inch nap, and it's just a big fluff ball. And so when you put it in that sealant, it soaks it up and you pull out a ton of it, and then you can work it around. It makes it go much faster, because one day I didn't have that. I learned my lesson. I used like a regular Home Depot, like 1/2 inch nap or a 1/4 inch nap, man. Dude, it took me double the amount of time than it was supposed to take.
Okay, beautiful, man. I was gonna ask you too about, how many buckets you need and stuff like that. How to do the job though? Like, do we have to pressure wash before the job? How many coats of sealant do we put on?
Good question. I always recommend pressure washing before the job. I mean, we're talking on a pressure washing channel right now. And so get that money, right? That's the easy money. And then upsell the sealant. Do you have to? I don't think, I mean, you don't have to do anything, I guess. I've seen sealant go on to driveways that was never cleaned, which is wild because they basically sealed algae underneath this sealant. but I would say you definitely want a pressure wash. The equipment that you need for like a water-based sealant is very simple. You can basically use a garden sprayer. You want to get a high quality garden sprayer, though, not like a 1 gallon cheapie. You need something that's going to put out some volume. Otherwise, you're going to be hating your life. But it's very easy, right? You just dump it in the garden sprayer and you can apply it. When it pertains to the equipment needed for solvent based or aggregate sealer, all it is a roller and like a aggregate sealant bucket. Basically, you dump your bucket of sealant in that big bucket. It'll hold the whole 5 gallons, and you dunk that sealer, that roller in there, and then you just go to town.
Okay, beautiful, man. I'm gonna give a shout out to a couple people in the comments. We got John McAvee from Down Under. He said he's doing $1,800 clean and seal job today. For
John's a
anybody who doesn't know,
killer.
John is a killer. He's in the inner circle. If you guys haven't checked out the inner circle, be sure to, because you can surround yourself with people who are killing it on a daily basis. Dewey says he prefers 18-inch at Ace Hardware and Lowe's. Purdy.
There you go. Yeah, Purdy's a nice roller.
He also said 1K square foot for 5 gallons. So 1,000 square feet for 5 gallons is an easy average coverage.
There you go. Yeah, he's also talking about the Remco 2 gallon a minute pump is great for a sprayer. So that's what I recommend, right? If you really, and look, these things are cheap, man. Like you can get them at like Tractor Supply or somewhere like that, where, you can wheel them around. The big thing is you're going to have to clean that sucker out. You're going to have to rinse it out. Otherwise, you're going to be going through a pump per job if you do, because it will seize it up. But that's with a water-based sealant. You would be using a 2 gallon a minute pump.
One time I did a sealing job, Aaron, and we put it on through a soft wash system. Was that will that mess your soft wash system up?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
went on real easy.
It had good flow, had good flow. Yeah, I mean, I think the big idea is what he's talking about, a 2 gallon. That's like the top of what you would want as far as flow. I mean, because if you start putting on too much, man, it starts to be overkill. You're starting to lose money. You're putting on too much. I mean, with a siloxane water-based sealant for brushed concrete, you do want to kind of flood it. You want to flood it to look a little too much on there. You want to be kind of, okay, well, they told me I'm supposed to put a lot on there. That's what you need to do, but you don't want to have rivers of sealant running is what I'm saying. So a little more than you would think, but not so much to where you have the Rhine River running down the driveway.
Okay, beautiful. And then if you are using one of those sprayers, Aaron, are you still gonna have to, use the brush? I mean the roller and roll it into the concrete?
No, that's the beauty and the easiness of water-based sealant. And I will tell you, like, why I love siloxane-based sealant. If you guys are on here, write that down. If they don't use siloxane right now, here's why. Because with brushed concrete, a water-based siloxane sealant will go and soak into that concrete, and you won't be able to tell after it's dried that it is sealed until you pour water on it, and it'll bead up and run all. It'll sit right on top of the concrete. This is beautiful, and this makes your job easy, because if you're using a water-based sealant, and they make these that have a sheen or like a topical agent that gives it kind of a shine, it's much easier to have patchy spots with that. But with a siloxane sealant, you can't even tell. So if you just flood it, you're gonna be in good hands, and you won't have any patchy spots where it's a little shinier over here and your pump wasn't spraying right over here, for the guys using a garden sprayer. So believe me, that garden sprayer, you're gonna question life if you go that route, but you can go that route. Okay, you can. You're not gonna like it, but you can.
I love it, man. Saving people time and money already. Aaron, let's kind of get into how to price the job. So is this square footage based pricing? Can we do this remotely? Just kind of measure it out and then go with the square foot based price?
Totally. It's all square footage based, because you're basing this off of how much coverage you're going to get with your sealant, right? You're having, some guys in pressure washing, when they just wash, they want to you can either do hourly, you can do, flat rate, you can do square footage. Everyone kind of has their preference on how they price. When it comes to sealant, it's all square footage based because you have a controlled variable, which is the amount of sealant you need for the coverage. Okay. And then you're going to factor in how much you're paying for that. I usually used to do just like clean and seal within the same estimate. So it would kind of cover up any of those questions. It was like, you're getting this package. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to seal it. And it made it to where we're not getting into like, oh, what are you charging per square foot to seal? It's like, no. It's all in the same bid. You don't need that math. You don't need to know. It's not the customer's business what your profit margin is. So I liked combining it that way.
Excellent. That kind of leads me into my next question. What was the average ticket price for these? And like, what's the most that you ever got for a sealing job? So huge point for guys watching this. Combine them into one service so that way they can't see. But any idea, Aaron, on what average ticket would be or how much you would add on to an average ticket?
The smallest one I think I ever did was like $2,200 in like a day. That's like the smallest one. $2,000 is pretty normal. I mean, the biggest one I've ever done, which wasn't a huge job, but it was like $8K for that.
Wow.
So, and that probably took us 2 days, which isn't bad. But, I think guys need to understand that these things go on and on and up. We have some folks in the inner circle who are doing $40,000 sealant jobs. Sealing is big business. So, and people will pay to have their stuff sealed because the only people who have things sealed are people who have money. They're not people who are broke. I mean, when's the last time you saw a trap house with sealed concrete? It don't exist, cuz. So the people who are paying for this have the money to spend. They want it cleaned and they want it done.
Excellent point. And you're probably the wrong person to ask about pricing, Aaron, since you're kind of like the high ticket man out here, huh? A lot of these guys won't be able to get high ticket out in Roanoke, Alabama versus, Nashville, Tennessee.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. So, raise your prices, but like Aaron said, is a luxury service, as is a lot of these things that we offer, as is a lot
Justin,
of the,
hold on real quick. I think my boy, just hang tight. My boy's
you
right
can.
here.
Absolutely, man. All right, you guys. Aaron's gonna leave us for a minute. We're gonna take a commercial break. If you guys haven't downloaded Quote IQ already, check out Quote IQ. I'll have it linked up in the comment section description. You can send estimates, send invoices, collect payments, keep track of customers, all for free using the app. Plus, there are some great paid features in there. And if you guys want to measure square footage out, you can do that with the app as well. So yeah, we've covered a bunch in this video already. We've covered Aaron's back with us, licensing and insurance, equipment needed to do the job. As well as how to charge. Now, Aaron's pricing philosophy is high ticket. What services can we offer to make the most money, obviously? And he wants to make everything a day. So, Aaron, this service kind of helps you to do that, right? Make everything a day. Like, we're going to take care of the driveway. Hey, why not seal it as well?
Everything will be a day as long as you're not doing aggregate sealant. Okay. That's why I stopped trying to offer aggregate sealing, simply because, when you're booked out, look, like, you clean the driveway, right? It's wet. You can't put oil on top of water. If you do that, it will be a bad thing. Okay. Removing sealant is not something you want to do. And if you put oil on top of water, it's going to turn out really milky. So you have to let that driveway dry completely if you're going to do an aggregate sealing job. The issue with that in the South is that a lot of times it's raining every day. So we can wash in the rain, but you cannot do an aggregate sealant job if that concrete is wet. So you, by default, you cannot seal that driveway that day because of the substance you're putting on top of it, right? So that means we got to schedule another day to come back. Okay. And that's why I don't like it, right? Dewey says 3 hot, dry days. See, you got to be doing, I don't like doing calculations when it comes to like my guaranteed money. I don't like being like, all right, well, let's find a Thursday. Okay, well, we're washing that other place that day. We can't do that. Oh, okay. Do we have Saturday? You know what you'll end up doing? You're coming back Saturday afternoon and you're like, I got to just get this done because I got to get my check. I didn't like that. That's why I always love the water-based stuff. is because I can take a lunch break and that driveway is pretty dry enough to where I can start applying that water-based sealant, and I could be done in a day. But aggregate sealant, you're not going to be done in a day. It's going to be
Beautiful.
whenever.
So Aaron, how do you sell this service? Sell me, okay? I call you. I'm like, hey, I need you to come do a driveway cleaning for me. I don't even know about sealing at all. What are you saying to me in order to kind of sell me on the service?
Sure. I mean, the first thing I'm going to ask is like, when's the last time you had your driveway sealed? And I mean, a lot of times I'm not going to be pitching this to, like I said, average clients. I'm going to be pitching this to higher end clients. And usually they'll say, I don't even remember the last time I had it sealed. Do I need to have it sealed? They'll always ask you. And I'll say, well, I mean, it depends on if you like, do you appreciate the cracks in your driveway? Is that like a character thing that you like, or do you want less of those? Because if you want to kind of keep the cracks to a minimum, I recommend that we have it sealed, and that would do the deal. Because usually they're like, no, I don't really like the cracks. I was like, well, freeze and thaw is the reason that it's cracking, and the way to kind of mitigate that, since it's already cracked, you're not going to be able to completely prevent this because you've got leak points, but we can mitigate it with a sealant. I'll give you a quote on that if you're interested.
All right. If you guys watched this video till this point, I think that alone was worth the whole video. Just there's a lot of underlying things there that Aaron did with regards to his selling. I think that's something we can cover maybe in another video. I don't know. Might be too good. We do talk a little bit about selling in local dom. If you guys haven't checked it out, first link in the comment section and the description. Aaron, how to land these jobs. We kind of spoke earlier about, is this an add-on service or is this a main service? I think for your business at least, it is more of an add-on. The other thing to take into consideration is these are higher end customers. Obviously, we're not doing this for less affluent people. So how are we landing these? Is it always an upsell and we're always looking for the most affluent customers?
Yeah, like I said, like towards, I slowed down, kind of stopped the aggregate sealing because it's so much, it's so involved, and you're always waiting on the perfect dry day. How do we find these people? Usually it's somebody who calls me for a cleaning in an affluent area, and then I'll look at it. If it's brushed concrete and I'm like, man, this would be an easy knock for another 2.5 grand on the sealant, then I'm factoring it in. And I know that right when I arrive. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, they want the driveway done. That's what they called for. I'm going to upsell a water-based siloxane sealant because they want to keep this driveway looking new. So where I'm at, there's tons of new, huge houses that are going up. The real estate market was crazy the last 10 years. And so it's very easy to sell someone on keeping their driveway looking brand new, especially when they've got a Raptor sitting in the driveway and, some nice cars there. They appreciate it. If you show up in the detailers there, you're always going to get the money. If the detailer's cleaning one of their cars, bro, they're all about keeping things tight, keeping things right. It'll be frictionless.
Right. You can guarantee that, what is it? Is it seal coated? Is that what they call it for cars?
Ceramic coated. Yeah.
Ceramic. You can guarantee it's ceramic coated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And if their car's ceramic coated, they're probably going to get the driveway, sealed as well.
You would appreciate it. Yep.
Absolutely. So you gave some great information on this one, Aaron. Anything else about adding sealing on as a business that you want to touch on before we wrap this one?
I think that everyone should try it. I don't think it's for everyone. Like for me, I did aggregate sealing for years before I stopped. I just got sick and tired of dealing with rain every single day and going and picking up the sealant, and it's just a lot of hauling. And especially, dude, you got to think when you got rain every single day, you just got the sealant sitting there. You've got a couple $1,000 worth of sealant sitting there, and you're like, well, you ain't got to pay for the wash. A lot of guys, you can bill for the wash. I would bill for the wash up front and then, maybe bill for the remainder. Maybe you bill for half of the bill first after you finish the washing. Let them pay that, use that to buy your sealant. And now you're not floating those costs. That would be much easier. But I think just stick with the water-based stuff if you possibly can, siloxane specifically, because it's so easy to work with. It's so easy to work with.
Okay, beautiful. One other question in with regards to the quoting process. A lot of guys kind of move to quoting remotely, especially if they have a lot of call volume coming in. With regards to this service, though, I would imagine that it's mostly in person. So, are you selling the service in person, and is it something that you include on the estimate when you send it over? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I'm always selling this type of sealant stuff in person. I really want to look at like drainage. I want to look at, what the place really looks like. And that's why you can probably sell it uh while you're there washing the driveway. If you quoted the driveway remotely for cleaning, you can pull the customer out of the house and say, "Hey, when's the last time you've had this done?" And they'll probably say, never, or I think it's been like 7 years ago or something like that. If you could definitely move them to that money spot if you're in the right areas. And I don't think you need to quote it remote. Quoting this stuff remote is kind of challenging.
Excellent qualifying question as well. When was the last time you got your driveway sealed? You're not even asking for like the service. That's some like underlying sales tactics there. What sealer do you use? George wants to know. He uses Bear.
There's a place that I use here in Nashville that makes it. All right. And they're right up the street from me. Oddly, I used to live in a more industrial area of town. Now it's become the hip area of town.
What?
Yeah, right. So, within about 5 years that I've lived here, it's become pretty hip, but I use a company here, but I don't think you really need to worry about it as long as it's siloxane based, water based sealant. That's my favorite. Now, if you're doing aggregate, it's always going to be, a solvent based sealant.
Right. We can't co-sign any specific sealants because they didn't cut the check.
Hey,
So
they ain't paid me, bro. I don't care about them boys over there.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, sweet, Aaron. Every guest that comes on the channel has picked the word of the day. What would you like the word of the day to be?
What's the word of the day? Local Dom.
Local Dom. If you made it this far in the video, comment down below local Dom, and I will hashtag you a real one. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We try to give as much value as possible with regards to adding concrete sealing on into your business. And as you can see, a ton of guys are making thousands more per job because they're adding on concrete sealing. So it just goes to show a little bit of knowledge can take you a far way. And within local Dom, we actually go through I think it's 3 or 5 chemical compounds that'll help you to up your average ticket price, similar to this service. So be sure to check that out if you guys haven't already. But my name is Justin, Forever Self-Employed, and until next time, hustle hard, get that money, baby.
baby.
Peace.
Peace.